When the pads come on, somebody's got to make some noise. Who's ready to do that today on Locked On Chiefs?
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back. It is a Friday edition of Locked On Chiefs, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Welcome back. We're brought to you today by LinkedIn. You can find all the qualified candidates that you're looking for, and you can do it faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. You can post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. We have to start getting prepared. This is the calm before the storm, so to speak. And I'm pretty excited about what happens on Friday's practice. It gets turned up a notch. There's always steps in the training camp. This is about to be one of them. We're going to cover that today. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL33.com, where you can see our third quarter games to not miss. And then you can get over to RGR Football, where I'm breaking things down as well. And this is Chris Clark. You can find him at Chiefs Corner, breaking all the cap down. Going to get into quarterback stats again, do the whole 9 yards all season long. We have Substacks, we have written, we have audio, we have video, we have everything for you. So make sure that you like, sub, and hit that bell here on the YouTube platform, as well as on the audio platform, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. We are everywhere 5 days a week, plus going to have some content for you this weekend. So make sure you're not only subscribed to this channel, but to the text line as well at 816-357-8781. Chris will be there on hand. Hopefully some of you will as well, and looking forward to it. Now, a couple of things that we need to get into before the pads hit tomorrow. And one is, I was really happy to see Wiley start to get some run. A lot of people talking about him in terms of, hey, he's in with the one sometimes. He's not supplanting Travis Kelce. Don't worry. We're going to talk about what his role is going to be and what it looks like from here. That's coming up later in the show. We're going to talk about how the defense is trying to slow down Mahomes and the offense is trained that they already have rolling. A good thing to have to try to do because they're just going to make them stronger. But first things first, who's ready to pop some pads? Bring the hit and make some noise out there. I think I always lean towards the offensive side. You're ready? Okay. I'd like to see you put some pads on. Maybe you can work in for Driscoll's spot. I don't know. But yeah, for me, I always go to the offensive lines. Well, no, you're not quite, but you're getting there. For me, I always go to the offensive line when we talk about offense and the pads coming on. I think Oklahoma drill. I think about trying to make those kind of good initial contact, get good extension, move the guy around. That's where my head goes. What about you?
I agree with you. I think it's offensive line, defensive line really comes to the forefront. But, you start thinking about it, and really the other things that I start really looking forward to is the running backs versus linebackers, because you have guys trying to show, can they be that guy to protect Patrick Mahomes? That becomes a huge deal for guys that could possibly make the team. And that becomes something that they're working on, trying to get better. And it's just something that is always fun to watch. And then you really get into what we've been talking about all offseason. And we talked about it last offseason. We thought they had a better wide receiving crew. We obviously saw how that ended up during the regular season. This is going to give you another step in the progression of where the wide receivers are versus where the corners are, because the Chiefs have a great corner crew in DBs. I mean, they really do. We'll see whether or not Justin Reed is available. That's going to be something that I'll be watching for. And when I'm there at camp, I'll be tweeting out, Justin Reed, Najee Johnson, Justin Watson. I think Matt tweeted out something earlier that Watson will be back sooner than later. I don't know if it means that he'll be back tomorrow, but a little bit of an update there. So something to watch for. And I say tomorrow, this is Friday's show. It could be today, depending on when you're watching this. But really, it's a question of, okay, so we've seen what Hollywood Brown can do. We've seen what Worthy did. Is Worthy back tomorrow? Is he back from having his strep throat? And what can they do when the pads come on? Because that's really when it's going to matter. Shorts is always something that you have to worry about. Guys in shorts is something you always have to worry about, because when the pads come on, they can completely change how they practice. Just because they're not able to get around as easily. They're not as nimble. So I'm really looking forward to watching wide receiver drills, cornerback drills, running back versus linebacker. Don't get me wrong, offensive line is going to be a fun one, but there's lots of different guys I'm looking forward to watching tomorrow to kind of get an idea as to where they stand and where I think they could be on this roster.
The other group that I'm looking for, I agree with all that, especially for Xavier Worthy getting off a press and using that. Hopefully he's out there tomorrow. The other group that I'm looking for is the backup tight ends. Not Noah Gray and Travis Kelce, because we know what they're going to do. But we're going to talk about Widely later in the show. And it's going to be important for him. But even more so, it's going to be Irv Smith and Kupp. And I have a soft spot for Kupp because he's got great size. He's a good mover. And this is the difference, I think. Tomorrow could be a day, Friday's practice, Saturday's practice, really all weekend, could be the day that a tight end's able to set themselves apart by what they're able to do with their physicality in delivering blocks and being that guy that, honestly, they don't have anymore. There's not a dedicated blocker on here, and there's not even a couple of guys that maybe could, and that's what I'm looking for.
No, and I think that's part of the reason why I think Carson Steele has a chance of making this team, because they don't have that tight end blocker anymore. So I think that's a possibility as to why Carson Steele could make the team. I do want to say, and I know we're going to talk about Wiley later, and we can get into this a little bit more later, but the interesting thing about him for me is we see what he's able to do. We see his size, we see his speed, we see that he's similar to Kelce in some ways. Again, not trying to call him Kelce, that's not at all where I'm going. But the question is, can he move like Kelce when the pads come on? Can he do some of the things that Kelce does? We've seen the comparisons so far to an extent. Can he continue that when the pads come on, or is it going to change because the angles are going to change? He's going to be getting hit at the line of scrimmage a little bit harder than what he's been getting hit before. Do things really shift for him? That's going to be something I'm going to be looking forward to tomorrow as well. You talk about pads, and we've talked about Worthy. We've talked about those types of guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing Hollywood Brown. He has looked fantastic in camp so far, and if he is able to do and I know he's a veteran, so you would expect it to translate, but if he's able to continue to do what he's been doing so far when the pads come on, that's going to speak volumes as to what he should be able to do for the Chiefs this year, and it could be a very big season for him. And you talked about this early on, offensive line. This is going to be where we find out who's really going to step into that left tackle role. Wanya Morris might be the guy that's the starter for the next couple of days. But if he's not able to be consistent like you struggled with last year at times, then maybe Kingsley Suamataia is a guy that's going to be starting the first preseason game. We'll see how that shakes out. But also, left guard, how's that going to shake out? Who are they going to have there tomorrow when the pads come on? And how do all those guys look compared to what they look like? And I'll give you one more. FAU, what's he look like this year compared to what he looked like last year? How is he going to be able to attack the offensive line when he's trying to go after him in one-on-ones or just in team? How's he get off the line? How's all that? How's he look different? How's it changed when you talk about a guy that worked with Tom Bahali in the offseason with George Karlaftis?
Defense has to do it too. Who's ready to try to slow down what that offense is already off to? We're going to get to that coming up next here on the Lockdown Podcast Network. Passion, drive, patience. It brings the trophy home, and just like the Chiefs have. And it can also affect your main vehicle, your ride or die. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain that vehicle, give it its peak performance, as well as over-the-top superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, everything to make it speedy, powerful, and stylish, all at eBay Motors, because they have you covered. Over 122 million parts for your or die, and you'll always find exactly what you're looking for, because eBay has a guaranteed fit. Your part will fit your ride every single time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're not burning cash. You're burning rubber. At least you're trying to. With all the parts that you need and the pieces that you want, it's easy to turn your car into an MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. Guaranteed fit is available for U.S. customers only. Make sure you check out Locked On Sports today. It's 24/7, and it's free and available here on YouTube and on Amazon Fire TV. It will make your life more fun. I am having fun now because this is where the rubber hits the road, and we get to see guys make collisions. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anybody to get, really any of those nagging muscle injuries or anything like that you can still play through. But I need to see who's ready to be that immovable force to let the opposing offense know what's coming. It starts against your own guys, and you got to be careful. I get that. But I'm intrigued for a couple of guys in particular. We've seen Drew Tranquil make some plays in coverage the last few days.
Yep.
But Leo Chanel's been pretty quiet. This gets into the area where I think he can start making his presence felt. He is much more a physical player than he is a coverage guy.
I was about
It's
to say
about to
that.
come down to it. I'm looking forward to Leo.
Yeah, no, Leo is absolutely a guy that is going to be way more physical, and when the pads come on, you're going to notice it more. So that's going to be fun to watch. You know, you talk about Leo Chanel. I kind of talked about FAU earlier. I'd throw George Karlaftis in that as well. How's he looking this year compared to where he looked last year? He looked very good last year during the season. Did he continue to improve? If he takes another big step forward for the Chiefs, they're going to be in business at defensive end at that position, at least for a while. And that's encouraging to see. So I'm really curious to see that. You know, you look at the defense, and if Najee Johnson is out there practicing, that's one thing. But I'm curious to see what Joshua Williams looks like and who gets the snaps if Najee is out there. Is it going to be Najee? Is it going to be Joshua Williams? Because both of those guys are in a battle right now. Don't get me wrong, Jalen Watson is going to be probably included in that when he comes back, but he's not practicing right now.
He has been on the side doing some work, though. I've seen him in jersey and pads, so I'm not sure exactly what the extent is. So let's hope maybe he can stick his face in there tomorrow on Friday to get that going. If not, you know, there are weekend practices this week, folks. So
I just would say I would imagine they wouldn't put him in team right away if that's going to happen. Since he hasn't practiced at all.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
True. Get him in sevens, though. I'd like to see it. It then shifts for me to the younger guys. Chris Jones, you know he's going to make a couple plays. He's going to piss off some of the offensive linemen and just whoop them.
It's glorious.
That's going to happen. Mike Pinnell's been actually having a pretty good start to camp. See if Mike's gas holds out. He seems to have a great attitude. So it's when those guys go out and who comes in. Can your guy pull it together, Farrell? What does Fabian Lovett look like? Maybe the guy that I'm most anticipating trying to see of the rookie class is Fabian Lovett, because I think he's got a unique opportunity. But it's about the defensive front for me right now, and that does include, unfortunately, second-year player Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who I think really has a chance now, starting this point forward, to make his presence known. He's going to be facing left tackles that are inexperienced for the most part. So you should be able to take advantage of them. If he can't, that's a red flag. If he can, it's something to build upon. So he's probably the number 2 guy that I'm out there looking for the young dudes.
Yeah, and number 1 guy, if I'm looking at the young dudes, I want to see Jaden Hicks. Give me all of Jaden Hicks. I cannot resist. And I want to be clear, Farrell's not my guy. I just think that they invested in him, so I think that there's a chance that could lead to him being on the roster. But obviously it's going to matter what happens in training camp. We're going to see a lot more of Farrell this year than we saw at any point last year because he didn't play much, and we're going to see we're going to see training camp and preseason games. So we'll get more of an idea of what he could do on this roster. But give me Jaden Hicks. I want to see where they move him, what he does. If Reed is not out there practicing, which even if he does come back tomorrow, I don't know that they'll have him in team. So I would expect Jaden Hicks to be a starter at that point. So I do think that you're getting to a situation where he's going to get a lot of playing time. He's going to have a lot of plays where he could get beat, and I don't care if he gets beat, because these are the times that he needs to try to figure out what exactly his role is on the defense, and he needs to be getting used to the NFL speed, and there's nobody better to get him prepared than Patrick Mahomes. There's nobody better.
No, it's the best way to learn, right? And he was one of the players. Nico Romeo had a nice catch there for the last practice before they had a day off. And what you saw there was Hicks playing single high. So he's in to the flow because of the Reed injury, into the flow of playing all 3 safeties. He's getting looks all over the place. I do think his role will probably button down as we get closer to the season. Maybe it'll expand again late in the season or into the postseason. But for right now, he's getting blasted with everything. So if he can narrow that down, is he in position to bring the hits like I know that he can? I'm interested to see that. We know all the secondary starters and guys that should be contending for starting spots. For me, it's the competition at the back end to make the roster or assign yourself a place on the practice squad that could be differentiated by your physical play and your hitting ability.
Yeah, but we don't know about Connor. Like, we know he's going to be probably the starter at corner and the inside, but we don't know how well he's going to play. That's going to be something that we're going to get a little bit more of an indication. We saw him at times there last season, but not to the extent that he's going to be right now. So now it's a question, is he able to step into that role and solidify that position? Because if he isn't, then you have a different problem, and you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do in that regard.
That's true. And he is a guy that does play pretty physical. I'm really looking at the corners, though. It's the draft choice, Kamal Hadden. It's Kelvin Joseph, now that he's back out there. Eko Boydo, that had a nice play early, I think, on day one. And I haven't been able to see Miles Battle at all. I have not seen him on the field yet myself. I'm looking quite a lot, to tell you the truth. All four of those guys bring the physicality. They have to use it, and it allows their game to open up when they get to this point. So I'm going to be watching those guys, the 2s and the 3 reps, to try to get some of that information as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see first person how these guys are practicing and how they're trying to slow down a guy like Mahomes and slow down the wide receivers. And a guy like Travis Kelce, too, who looks very spry for a guy his age.
Yeah, knock on wood. And he's going to have some help. Chris is going to be out there, folks. Go say hi. You'll see him. He's the tallest guy in the stands, most likely. So go find that and say hello over the weekend, as he's going to be out there. But next, Wiley's just warming up. What can his role grow into, and what will this weekend tell us right after this? When you're hiring for a small business, you want to find the quality professionals with the right fit for the right role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. It has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team. I'm always looking at LinkedIn. It isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you find professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively looking or searching for a new job might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. It goes down the easiest way to post your job for free is on linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. My condition is always what term I'm looking for. And the term that I'm looking for is who wants to step up. Stepping up, taking the advantage, taking your opportunity as it comes to you. That's what I'm looking for. And maybe no one roared themselves into preparation for that. And Pad's coming on Friday better than Jared Wiley did. It had kind of a quiet first couple of days, broke out with a couple of nice catches on the last pre-padded practice. Where do you see him? And does it surprise you that it's been mostly just catches at this point? Because it doesn't surprise me a whole lot.
You know, I think it's going to be intriguing to see what he's able to do when the pads come on. And we kind of talked about this in the first segment. And there's another guy before we sign off for the day I want to talk about when it comes to the pads popping. But you look at what he can bring to this offense, and you look at what he could really do on the field. And I think that you have to get excited about it because, you know, we've said for years they need to find a Travis Kelce replacement. This is the closest that they've really come. And if they could get to a point where he is just even serviceable as a high-end tight end 2 this year, that's a win for them. I'm not saying that he has to be a tight end 1 type. And you're right. You said something earlier. He's not going to supplant Travis Kelce. We know that. But he has a chance to learn from Travis Kelce. And you have seen Travis Kelce take him under his wing and really be excited about Wiley. So I expect big things from him this season, regardless of whether or not he's getting maybe the snaps that you would hope that he would with the skill set.
You know, I want to illustrate this for everyone because it's not a small thing, especially for rookies. When you get to team periods every day in your first training camp, it's a lot. The speed is already up from what you played at in college. You have never played that fast. And now pads are going to take it to another level. Preseason games going to take it to another level. And then regular season games are going to take it to a further level still. And we'll talk about the postseason later. But for Wiley to step up in there and before the pads come on to make a play it stood out to me, like you said, Travis Kelce was the guy celebrating with him, running down the field to make that celebration. And, Drew Tranquil was a little salty. That's all right. But I like the fact that Kelce can still embrace guys. He's embraced Noah Gray, who's been a staple help for him. And that's how I see everybody. The difference for me is that Wiley's capable, in my mind, of being a wide tight end. I can't say that about Noah Gray. I can't say that about Irv Smith. Most of the guys that we've had here, I can't say that about. Wiley is truly, I think, a more prototypical attached to the line of scrimmage and then split out. He doesn't have to be split out all the time. So he and Travis can form a duo that's maybe not as potent, but definitely different than Travis and Noah. And that's what I want to see in the next couple days.
Well, and I think what is the most fun about that specifically is you start looking at having them both on the field in the end zone, because you could have Travis down inside and lined up as a normal tight end on the line of scrimmage, and he's going to get double covered regardless because it's Travis Kelce. And then you have a guy like like Jared Wiley out there split out and doing whatever you want him to do out at the split out position as a tight end. And people are going to say that may be a little crazy. Why wouldn't you have Travis do that? The reason you do it is because Travis is going to get double covered. Yes, he's good enough to beat it. Don't get me wrong, but Travis is going to get double covered. Wiley won't be double covered, and he's going to be bigger than just about anybody that they could put on him. That is going to be a red zone threat that I think they're going to take a big advantage of. And I'm not going to be shocked if we see, I won't say double, maybe double. I'd have to go look at the percentages, but I wouldn't be shocked if they see another 20 to 30, maybe even 50% 3 tight end sets this year, because they'll have 3 guys that they're going to want on the field that can do multiple things. Wiley's not a great blocker at this point in his career, but it doesn't really matter because he can do good enough and still gives you the threat that you haven't had when you had Blake Bell. Blake Bell was a great blocker, but he wasn't much of a pass catcher.
That's absolutely true. I will tell you this, though, in watching what little I've been able to see, Jared Wiley's a better blocker now as a rookie than Travis Kelce was. So in terms of relativity and where he can get to, he's ahead in that aspect.
Well, and let's be fair, he's probably ahead of Kelce in several areas, not just blocking. Kelce struggled his sophomore year a little bit. I mean, he was potent, but he wasn't as potent as he is now. And I'm not saying he's going to be Kelce 2.0, but there are things that Wiley is coming into the NFL better ready for than I think Travis Kelce was. And it seems like, at least from what we've seen, I hate saying it this way, but his demeanor and his attitude and his professionalism seems a little bit further ahead than Travis was when he came in. I don't think that's think that's a harsh thing to say. I mean, that's the truth. Travis was a party guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Travis was a professional. He did what he needed to do. I just think Wiley's a little bit further ahead when you look at the attitude that he comes into the game with.
Just don't throw flags at refs. It's fine.
Yeah.
Everything that otherwise learn from your mentor. And I love the concept of the mentor-mentee relationship. So let's see how that materializes on Friday when the pads come on and all weekend.
The other one that I'm really excited to see, and this is what I mentioned earlier, we need to talk about before we get hopped off of here. I want to see what Louis Rees-Zammit does. I meant to mention him in the first segment, and sorry, didn't mention it, but that's going to be a huge deal. How do the pads coming on affect him? And I don't think it's going to affect him as in he's not going to be able to run like he has been. It's just when he takes that first hit, when he takes those first couple of hits, how does he adjust, and how does he adjust to the NFL? I'm not saying he can't take the hits. I'm just saying it's a different type of situation than rugby is.
And we're not the only ones watching. Matt Nagy mentioned it specifically yesterday that, hey, he had one today where he was way too upright and he knows he needs to get down. It's about training yourself. And I think there's a good possibility he gets caught off guard a little bit, but let's see what the bulk of the carries or the touches look like and if he can hold his own. I am anticipating that as long as he doesn't let himself get too crazy on any breakaway, I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think you look at what he's going to be asked to do and where his focus is going to be. Yes, he needs to figure out the running back role. Don't get me wrong, but I still think his biggest focus is going to be on kickoff return, and that's a little bit of a different skill set. That's a little bit different situation. It is still going to be an issue if you run two upright, because you could still get lit up on a kickoff return, maybe even more so than just regularly as a running back. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to get out to camp tomorrow. So if you haven't already, join the text line.
Yeah, right. Get on the text line, 816-357-8781. And you may be getting texts while Chris is in the same stadium as you, but he'll give you the insights starting tomorrow. And also, pay attention to one thing. You can leave it here in the comments when you come back, or you can add it on the text line. I know you everydayers will be on there. I want to know how many linebackers line up in the special teams units, especially on the new kickoff rule. Tell me how many bigger guys are on it that used to be DBs and wide receivers. That's the difference that I'm looking for. So we will leave it at that. Hope you guys are ready for a great weekend. We appreciate you being with us. Make sure that you are squared away. Stay cool out there. Keep your temperament and enjoy Chiefs training camp. Go find Chris, and we'll be back with you this weekend. Thanks for listening now, and we'll talk to you next time.